NFC North. Jerry, lead us off with the NFC North.
All right, so I'm pretty sure the team that you were alluding to who may compete with the Texans for that 0-17 record are the Detroit Lions.
Ding, 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 ding.
Now, I don't know if that will necessarily be the case. It will be close. I'm just wondering what the over-under is on how many kneecaps will be bitten this season.
Yeah.
I mean, that's really, I think, all that, you should be paying attention to, because it just feels like a circus over there in Detroit. So, I guess at least they'll be entertaining as they embark on this rebuild. The third in this division, I have as the Chicago Bears. I mean, I think the only thing we know for sure is that Andy Dalton will be the Bears' Week 1 starting QB. But will he remain the starter longer than Tom Savage when he was for the Texans, when he made it just to the halftime of Game 1 before Deshaun Watson took over? Because the Justin Fields era in Chicago is definitely on the horizon, and it's just a matter of time. And as I've said before, the sooner the better, because not only should Chicago want Fields to get early experience under his belt, but they should also want Fields to develop chemistry with guys like Allen Robinson to see if they, if they should give him a contract extension after this year. And then coming in second would be the Minnesota Vikings, who, I really feel bad for Mike Zimmer, because you could tell that he is just so flabbergasted by all his players who refuse to get vaccinated. And because he knows that if you're unvaccinated, you're putting the team in a bad position. And yet all these players, particularly some of his best players that he's counting on, are willfully choosing to putting themselves at risk of missing games. So we'll see how that all unfolds, but I think that's just going to be a big distraction throughout the season. So they'll be falling to second place, and pretty much by default, Green Bay gets that number 1 slot, taking the division fairly easily, because luckily for Green Bay, Aaron Rodgers decided to put his beef with management on the back burner and return to the team, because with Rodgers in the fold, it's the Packers division to win. Of course, they are dealing with some changes. They lost their starting center, Corey Linsley, to free agency. Their starting left tackle, David Bakhtiari, will begin the season on PUP as he's recovering from his ACL. They've got a new defensive coordinator, Joe Barry. But, Green Bay is still the heavy favorite, like I said, because just by default, the rest of the division is so bad. So Packers fans, enjoy it, because this will be the last dance with Rodgers at the helm.
Ooh, already getting into the off-season storylines.
Yeah.
I like it. I'm with you exactly on that order. I'm not as sold on the Vikings being in second place because of what you said, in terms of Zimmer seems to be on the hot seat just by virtue of his players. And I just don't know what's going to happen if that team loses Kirk Cousins or Dalvin Cook or anything. In fact, I would put, if Vegas is setting the odds on which team is most likely to forfeit, I would put the Vikings towards the top of that, because I can see something like that happening. But I do see the Packers running away. I see them getting into their 12-14 wins again. Aaron Rodgers is just a cheat code still until he shows me that he's fallen off a cliff. He's got Devontae Adams to throw to. So I think this is another example of the Packers being a pinball machine in the regular season and, not having what it takes, in the postseason. I think the Bears are going to go 8-9, and it's going to be their own demise. They're going to start Andy Dalton, and he's going to pick up a couple losses early on. They're going to come to Justin Fields. He'll get a couple wins. They'll be excited. And come the end of the season, they're going to be sitting right around 500, probably a game or two outside the playoffs. And everyone's going to be looking back at those Andy Dalton losses going, wonder what would have happened if Fields had just started right off the bat. Now, you mentioned Tom Savage only making it till halftime. It's very conceivable that the Rams are playing the Bears prime time week 1. So does Aaron Donald just obliterate that terrible defense or terrible offensive line that the Bears have? Because that's the thing. The Bears' offensive line is garbage. So does Donald wreak havoc and kill Dalton, forcing Justin Fields in early? Does Dalton throw a couple picks and Jalen Ramsey, high steps into the end zone, forcing a change because of performance? I don't think Justin Fields getting the second half of that game is, so far-fetched. And then again, I was feeling good, so I didn't make the Lions winless. I gave them one win. I gave them one win. At some point, I just think Dan Campbell will rally them enough, and I'm just hoping it's not week 1. That's the only thing that matters. So, Jeff, your thoughts on the NFC North?
Yeah, I think the Texans are going to be really bad going for that 0 wins. The Lions, I think I mentioned this a few weeks back, and I know you're not buying it, but I think they might, put together 3, 4, 5 wins. I don't know. Dan Campbell might have those guys going pretty good. The thing to keep an eye on, like Jerry mentioned, is how many guys are going to get hurt playing the Lions, and is it going to be like legit, or are they like biting kneecaps off, taking helmets to the knees, like something the league might have to keep an eye on. I don't know, some dirty play there, but we'll see. But yeah, I mean, with Goff there and some of these other guys, I don't know, they may be okay or be able to scrap together 3 wins. I don't know. But again, without looking at their schedule in depth, I don't know who they're beating. I think the Bears and Vikings will be battling out for those mid couple spots there, and of course the Packers. That's their division for sure. And that's what's tough about that division, because we'll get into this later, but I was kind of looking at maybe the Vikings being a playoff contender, but I don't know, man. I'm not sure how they're gonna do that. I definitely think they're gonna be better than the Bears, and probably because like what you guys mentioned, the Bears are gonna do their own selves a disservice by playing Andy Dalton too long, unless he can get in there, week 1 or 2. So so Packers, Vikings, then Bears and Lions at the bottom is how I see that shaking out.